All right, so I got a reaction coming at y'all real quick, man. So, man, I just woke up late, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, I caught the tail end of this and I jumped to the middle, and this is what I stopped on. So, we gonna react to this. Let's get into it.
He was trying to prevent people from destroying themselves. And because the Avengers didn't know what they didn't know, because they was operating out of ignorance, they was fighting the best thing for them. So I don't know. I think about it a little bit differently. I think that a lot of people think that they're doing good, but in reality, they're doing evil.
I agree. I mean,
in most cases, it's going to be heroes on the movies and the cartoons.
So everything that I heard, I'm gonna just have to go against the grain. I think what I heard most people speaking, I was very disgusted because I may talk shit, I may get into it with people. I'm not gonna hurt you until you hurt me, and that's like you come for me physically or emotionally, then it's war. But to wish pain and suffering on somebody because I desire and want something, I believe in karma. I believe that any enemy that ever has spoke up against me, which harmed against me, has always failed, has always suffered, and I never delighted in it. I just said, I hope that they learn to be a better person, because when you carry hate on your heart for so long, that's the person that you end up turning into. So if I'm playing sports, I'm not gonna wish on somebody's downfall where they're physically hurt. I had COVID just a few days ago, and that shit was horrible. I went to the hospital for it. And in my mind, I thought about, there's not one person in this world where I would say, in my life, that I would say, you know what? I would wish this on my worst enemy. No, I would not. I don't have that type of thinking. And I think that's how you're raised. I think that's where your relationship's at with God, because I'm convicted at the end of the day when I do something to hurt somebody, regardless, I'm convicted at the end of the day to be like, you know what, that's not right. Like, I feel really bad inside. Like, I don't feel good about it. I don't sleep good at night.
No, that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? The scripture tell you that you're supposed to commune with yourself upon your bed. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to examine yourself, you know what I'm saying, and really call out the negative things you might have did. You know what I'm saying? But most people don't do that. Just to keep it a stack, most people don't do that. So that's good that you actually do that. But that's not the norm. That's not the norm for a lot of people.
Like, oh man, I really just hurt this person. Like, I don't feel good about that. So maybe that's my spirit, but I do think people are born good and they turn evil because this world is an evil world. We're born into sin. It's a sinful world. We're influenced by the sins of this world. But do I think people are born with mental illness that where they lack empathy for others and they commit crimes and do certain things? Then yeah. But somebody that's a baby, you telling me a baby is just evil at fucking heart, like Satan at heart? No, I don't. I personally do not believe that. I go by the Bible. But those who don't go by the
Let's go to Bible then. Let's go to Bible. Let's go to the Bible. This is Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 15. Foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. Because children are born evil. It is what it is. It is what it is. That's the purpose behind these conversations and talking about how important parenting is, because children are evil. So if you don't have somebody to correct you and drive that evil from you, that's what you're gonna be. So when you look in the world, right, we can look and clearly see that most people aren't good people. Most people, when you start breaking, you know what I'm saying, breaking it down and peeling back the layers, you start seeing character flaws. Those character flaws are supposed to get corrected when you was a child. Let's get some more. This is Genesis chapter 8. I'm gonna start at verse 21. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imaginations of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. So that's giving you right there. Children, people from their youth are evil, man. That's what most people think about. Like, you gotta really think about it. Like, how often you have to kind of correct children about stuff. Like, when as an adult, a child doing that, it will be considered a crime. It will be considered a felony. but you don't think none of it because it's a child. You didn't teach them that shit. But you know, it is what it is. When you just look at children off GP, they selfish. You got to teach them not to do that. But yeah, that's Bible, that children are evil.
Bible, then you
That's
know that you're
fine.
born in sin.
That's fine.
You're born in
By
sin.
the Bible, but for me, it's just like we're born into sin, and we are forgiven, and we are repentant of our sins.
No,
The
you're
Bible
not.
says,
Not God. You not God. Ain't nobody on this panel not God. I really don't give a damn about none of y'all judging because y'all don't convict me to hell. So what the fuck do y'all do in my life? Nothing. So I really don't care. So for the people that's listening to this, I don't want you to sit here and think it's okay to wish evil or say I was born evil because I want to benefit myself. You know, there's one thing of protecting yourself, but blatantly wishing harm on somebody, I think is the most disgusting thing.
Now, I agree with her on that. The scriptures tell you not to do that. Now, the scriptures tell you to pray for judgment on your enemies, but that's talking about the enemies of the other nations, not of your people. The goal for the enemies of your people is to try to convert them, or as the scriptures say, you do good to the people that's of your own nation because that'll heap hot coals on their head. Because if somebody do some messed up, foul stuff to you, but you won't return that evil, that usually make them feel some type of way once they start thinking about it, like, damn, I did all this fucked up stuff to them and they ain't even return that. The scriptures tell you to be like that. But it wasn't telling you to do that like especially during slavery, they try to teach us, you know what I'm saying, turn the other cheek. That's not what it was talking about. It's talking about your own people. It's talking about holding grudges and trying to get your lick back. You ain't supposed to be like that. The scriptures tell us in multiple places not to go tit for tat. So I agree with B. Taylor on that part, but children are evil as hell. Just it is what it is.
That you can do, and you need to check your heart and your spirit, especially if you're somebody who's spiritual and somebody who do believe in God or a higher power of being, because you're
Can I
not.
ask you a question, B. Taylor?
Go ahead, Anton.
Why did God send in his people to wipe out entire civilizations?
Can you use an example?
He sent in the children of Israel to take over land.
God gives us a choice. Now,
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He instructed them to go in and destroy and take over and wipe out everything from the people that he didn't care for, and he told them to take over. And he said, kill everything and don't take nothing.
And
Why would wait? Why would God instruct the people to do that?
And what story are you?
Okay, I'll look it up.
Well, when you read the book of Joshua, specifically, they was running through nations. Let me go to the one right quick. When you read the book of Joshua, when you get to Joshua chapter 12, I'm gonna just start at verse 9. I'm gonna start at verse 8. In the mountains and in the valleys, and in the plains, and in the springs, and in the wilderness, and in the south country, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, the king of Jericho, 1, the king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, 1, the king of Jerusalem, 1, the king of Hebron, 1, the king of Jarmuth, 1, the king of Lachish, 1, the king of Eglon, 1, the king of Gezer, 1. When you read on down, these is all kings in little nations that we destroyed. They was living in the land that was promised to us. When you read throughout the scriptures, the Most High told us to he was telling us to commit genocide, period, point blank. Especially when you get to the Amalekites. That was the problem between King Saul. You was told to do a job. He told you to kill everything. Men, women, children, they animals. He said kill everything. He brought stuff back. That's not what you was told to do. So now, you look at them today, they calling themselves Jews. When thousands of years ago, we was commanded as a nation to wipe them off the earth. Why? Because of the evil that they did to us when we was coming out of Egypt. But, you know, they ain't teaching that in church. But when you read throughout this, we was committing genocide crazy.
For you.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you in the Bible that
You can look at Sodom and Gomorrah
I
too.
can tell you in the Bible
Sodom and Gomorrah, there was so much going on where it's just, that's how it was. But guess what? Y'all going off of the Old Testament, but if you want to go into the New Testament, where God sent his son to die on the cross for our sins. Now, if you don't want to go with that testament, I can't argue with your.
Let's go with the New Testament. Let's go with the New Testament. We're going to deal with the New Testament. We're going to go to the last book. This is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 25. I'm going to start at verse 25. But that which ye have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Now, you might hear that and be like, okay, what does that mean? Give power over the nations is we're getting control over all these nations. Just like we had in the Old Testament when King David was running through people. Same old thing. It's coming right back. Verse 27. This is going to give you an example or explain a little bit of what we getting that rod for, giving power for. And he shall rule them with that rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. It's going to be the same thing. Actually, it's going to be worse when Christ returns. Christ came to give the nation of Israel a way back to the Father because we wasn't keeping the sacrifices right. You read that in Hebrews chapter 10. Christ died to remove animal sacrifice because we wasn't doing it right in the first place. So him taking away sacrifice gave us grace. So now we can get our lives right. So when he returned, those that want to do what he say will get this portion right here. Verse 26, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. That's clear cut. It's actually going to get worse when you get to the end of it. Let's get some more. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Well, when you know the scriptures, right? The Israelites were sent into captivity, slavery in all nations. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we went into slavery everywhere. They call it the diaspora. So Christ telling you, all those nations that put us in slavery gotta go in slavery. When you read in other areas, especially in the Old Testament, like I know you saying I'm talking about the Old Testament. It's old prophecies in the Old Testament that still ain't happened yet. It's prophecies in the Old Testament that talk about when Christ return, all nations that don't want to serve us gonna be put to death. Let's go get it right quick. Hopefully I go straight to it. I ain't went and got that in a while. I think it's in 60. Here we go. This is Isaiah chapter 60 and I'm gonna start at verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Because obviously he smote us by us going into slavery. We read that in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and all throughout the scriptures. We went into slavery. Luke 21, we went into slavery, right? So in his wrath, he smote us, but in his favor, he gonna build us up, right? But he gonna use the strangers to build back up our nation, right? Verse 11, therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. Because all these other races of people, they're not just gonna bow down to black people. They're not. So the gates is not gonna close. Bring that money that y'all stole. Bring that gold that y'all stole. Bring all that stuff that y'all had us breaking our backs to build y'all wealth. Bring that on down here. Let's continue. Verse 12. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. This is an Old Testament prophecy about the future. This hasn't happened yet. Because I know when we get to the New Testament, they think that John 3:16 talking about the whole planet, but it's not. It's talking about the nation of Israel. Christ laid down his life for the nation of Israel, and that's it. So when Christ returns, those of the nation of Israel that want to do what God say, they're gonna get power over the nations. and we're gonna get to take place in some of these Old Testament prophecies that ain't happened yet. But, you know, it is what it is. There's more stuff in the New Testament that let you know it ain't what you think it is in the New Testament.
Take it as in religion, but if I'm going off the New Testament,
No, you got to go off the whole Bible.
No, but B Teller, in Mark 10:18, Jesus said, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except for God."
Right. No one is good as in we
except
all
for
sin.
God,
Yeah,
including
we all
himself.
sin. We all make mistakes. We all sin. Like, we're not perfect. So to say like I'm good, we try to be good, but we're born into sin because it is a sinful world, and we are influenced by the world.
I used to think like you until I got into a whole altercation at the finish line because I did a race and had to drop somebody. Got DQ'd. We both got DQ'd, even though she started that. I'm still twisted about that. So ever since that day, ever since she swung on me first and missed, you know, because you gotta bob and leave, and I beat her down, she became an enemy to me. So I didn't wish her nothing good after that.
But I've been in physical altercations, and I can think back and be like, that didn't feel good. That didn't feel good, regardless of.
I think B. Taylor, maybe you have a limit.
I want to touch on that right quick because what the sister talking about is you can kind of liken that to the situation between King Saul and King David, and that is what Christ was talking about in Matthew 5 when they talk about, you know what I'm saying, love your enemies, you know what I'm saying, turn the other cheek. Because when you read the story of King David and King Saul hated David because he got a little bit more notoriety and fame than he did, right? So he said that he became David's enemy continually. They of the same race, different tribe, same people, but they enemies. David refused to go tit for tat with him. So even though King Saul tried his life multiple times, King David proved to him like, hey, I could have took your life this day, but I didn't. That's what Christ was talking about. When we talk about with our own people, we like to hold grudges and try to get our lick back when that's not how we're supposed to move and operate. So I got to push against what the sister saying, one country cookie. I got to push back against that. We're not supposed to be like that. If you know what I'm saying, if you're around somebody that's getting you into that mode, you got to stop dealing with them.
Afterwards, when I saw her every week after that, it wasn't bitch, fuck you and the race, and I hope you break a limit.
But I think everybody has a limit, though. Like, if somebody does
God
something
specifically instructed the Israelites to destroy the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, and others. He told them, and he didn't say this. He said utterly destroy.
Was that in the Old Testament or
it
the
was.
New Testament?
It was.
But I'm saying, if we're going off of the New Testament, which is,
we don't just go by off of the New Testament. You take it in its entirety.
They all the same. They just.
I'm saying there's a lot of things there's a lot of things that God asks from the people to sacrifice their kids, but obviously He's not doing that now in the New Testament. That He sent His own Son down.
But people created the New Testament, sweetie.
Huh?
People created the New Testament.
Y'all sacrifice y'all kids every time y'all have a child out of wedlock.
Back and forth, because I'm not here to debate
that part, Bruiser.
I'm just gonna speak about my beliefs.
So Bruiser, say that again.
Now, what I will say to B. Taylor, right? So you did have a difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, but what you're speaking on is Christ laying down His life, so to remove the sacrificial laws. That's what you talk about. You can read that in Hebrews chapter 10, where Christ laid down His life. He became the sacrifice. He was the Lamb of God, right? So what you're talking about, I understand, but it's not fully correct. But when you take it all in this context, nothing changed from the Old Testament and the New Testament other than the sacrificial laws. Christ took place for the sacrificial laws. But the way things was going down in the Old Testament, yeah, He still feel like that. When you read in Revelation chapter 2, Revelation chapter 13, Revelation 22, He still feel like that. Then when you go into those future prophecies still in the Old Testament, Isaiah 63, Isaiah 60, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 13, I don't know. Habakkuk? I don't know. So you gotta really put things in context when you talk about the New Testament, because it was a lot of things referenced in the New Testament that it was telling you to go back and read in the Old. So a lot of people, they don't go back to the Old Testament. Honestly, I think a lot of people don't like reading it because they don't understand what they read. But nothing changed. When you read Malachi chapter 3, let's get that right quick. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. God don't change. So the things that he was doing in the Old Testament, he still feel that way. But that grace period is what we dealing with. And you know what I'm saying? You got to really take advantage of that, because a lot of us, we deal with a lot of things on a day-to-day basis that we really should die for. But he laid down his life so the nation of Israel had that chance to correct that on the back end. So, you know, it is what it is, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this clip right here, man. But I thought it was an interesting conversation up until this point, but I don't want to make these too long. But yeah, man, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Do y'all feel like children are evil, man? Do y'all feel like children are born evil? Because I'm gonna just be honest with you. After having my own kids, all right, you can see, like, you know what I'm saying? If you being honest with yourself as a parent, you can see different spirits on your kid. He's like, I didn't teach you that. Why are you like that? So when I see different stuff, I already know what it is. I'm not even finna play with it. I'm not finna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna act like it's cute. It is what it is. That's evil. Because a lot of people, they wink at it because they kid's so cute. It said that in the book of Sirach. Don't wink at it. Don't be cheerful. You know what I'm saying? Don't cocker your child. Cause a lot of people play too much with their kids, thinking stuff cute. Yeah, it's cute when they 4, right? Then they 15 doing the same thing, it ain't cute no more. But you know, it is what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man.